Hey everybody, thanks for tuning back into Cryptomainly. My name's Lee. Once again, guys, thanks very much for liking and subscribing. The channel's growing gradually, which is great. Just please, as I say, I've mentioned this a few times, guys, but I think it's important just to point out that this channel is very new, so please don't look at the number of subscribers and let that put you off. I myself am somebody that does look at the number of subscribers when I look at things like Twitter and I look at YouTube and things like that. I myself even gauge, how interested I'll be in following that particular person's content. So, guys, please remember this is a new channel. I've been in the crypto space for 4 or 5 years now, and I've been working with some of the, if not the most recognized influencers in the crypto space. This channel is very new, and I really appreciate you joining. And I hope to see things grow. And who knows, guys, you'll be able to look back and say that you were one of the first few hundred subscribers to the channel. Hopefully, in the future, when there's hundreds of thousands of you. Let's make the most of it now, guys, by by commenting on the videos. I can obviously interact with you a lot better now with a small group of people, which is great. Obviously, when there's hundreds of thousands of people, that might be a little bit more difficult. So please, please do give me your feedback, good and bad. I'll be interested to, genuinely interested to hear what you've got to say. Same for Twitter, really, guys. I've been sort of enclosed in contractual terms as to what I can share on my Twitter up until now, and that's about to change. So from the 1st of June, there will be a number of changes. You will see me more active on Twitter. So my handle there is @Cryptomainly, and also I will be starting my own Telegram group, and I'm very much looking forward to starting that and really making it something special for the people that want to subscribe. I've mentioned my NFT, guys. Please, do have a look at the NFT. As I've said before, I can't sort of give you, the details of what I intend to do with the NFTs. But one of the things I will say is that I will be looking back in the future to see who was buying the NFTs at the early stage and therefore investing and supporting me in the early stages of my YouTube career. So that hopefully, as my success grows, I can do something nice for those people in the future. So thanks ever so much, guys. That's enough of me waffling on. Going to do something a little bit different today, guys, jumping into the content. This is a short trade that I posted in the video yesterday. Don't particularly want to celebrate the fact that Bitcoin is coming down. However, our trade is going very well. We may get a little bit of a bounce back at this key area at this 28,800. We might get a little bit of a bounce, but I do think ultimately the price is going to be rolling over and coming down. Somewhere in sort of this region here, I think is where we'll end up on this particular bounce. Somewhere between the 78.6 and the 88.6 is where we'll end up. And then obviously, as I've said in my video yesterday, I think we'll get a nice bounce from there. Possibly come up to the top of the range here at sort of around the sort of 32,000. We might get some consolidation and then a further stab down later in the month. Maybe not quite as deep as this one, but I can see us doing something like this. Let me just draw that out for you. Something like this, where we come down, we have a nice successful trade. Hopefully, we come back up, and then we get some consolidation in this area here, and then perhaps a stab down, possibly not down as lows as these lows. However, there will be some untapped liquidity at these lows over here. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do actually get like a deep spike down towards the end of the month as like a final as a final sort of lifting off point into the summer. I'm convinced, guys, that there's going to be a nice summer alt season, and I've said that time and time again. The Bitcoin dominance does not look like that is going to happen. It actually looks like we're going to have an alt, a Bitcoin season rather than an alt season. But I do think that if dominance creeps up, although dominance will be creeping up, there will be some altcoins. You've got to think about it two ways, really. If dominance is increasing, then it means that the altcoins are not performing as well as Bitcoin. But there will be altcoins that do perform reasonably well against the US dollar. So perhaps your strategy is to either think about when dominance, when the dominance comes down. Perhaps we'll come back to that later in the video. I'll add something on about the dominance later in the video. Okay, so just allow me to draw that out for you again, guys. So we'll likely see maybe another bounce from here, possibly not quite so high, then come down, then complete our trade, then come up, then have the consolidation, and then maybe have that stabbed low So something like that, I think, guys, is going to happen over the next few days. So this is the chart that we've been watching for a while now. We're still inside the blue triangle, which is rather lovely. We are bouncing along. We are trying to, just trying to break through that support level. But as I've said a few times on my videos now, the wick low here, which is the blue price, 26,600. That's the level to watch, guys. I think as long as we're not having candle body closes below that, if we do start to see candle bodies close there, we could get, a very quick and accelerated dip to the downside. But we'll come to, I've got some other charts to show you, where I think the potential lows will be, and those show quite clearly. So this is one which I've been putting out for a while now in my trading group, and that is basically what this is. We've got a couple of things on here. So we've got the bull market support band, which is the red and the green. Okay, and the light green shaded area in between. We've also got the blue dot, the blue line rather, which is the 50 simple moving average, as it says there. So 50 simple moving average. And we've got a couple of observations really. Basically, the point in the past that you've got these circles is the point that you'll see that the bull market support band, which is the red and green. That bull market support band, once it crosses below the 50-day moving average, you then get an accelerated move to the downside, which is on this first attempt was 70% over the course of 154 days. The next one, again, you've got the bull market support band crossing down below the 50-day moving average. You've got a 62% move over 168 days. This one's obviously a bit of a black swan. We all know what happened March 2022, but nonetheless similar. The bull market support band did cross below the 50. And we did get a 55% correction there over the course of 14 days. So a very quick, very sharp, and obviously a very quick recovery as well there. So that one's a little bit of an outlier. But if we do the same again at the top here, you'll notice that the bull market support band has crossed below the 50 moving average. Another thing to note is that the bull market support band, the moving averages, they are downside angled. So the bull market support band and the 50 SMA are downside angled there. They also are downside angled here. So you've got the bull market support band and the 50 SMA, and also at the top here, unfortunately the moving averages are downside angled. So we have had some of this move play out already. But what it does suggest is that, I've used sort of 58%. You'll notice it's gone from 70 to 62. That's sort of an 8% reduction, and then it was reduced even further. This one is a little bit of an outlier, so I'm just going to go by the 8% reduction on there. So this would, that's where this brings this to sort of 56 to 58%, and you'll notice actually there that would bring us just below 20,000 as being the low. I don't think we're going to get down there myself personally. You can see that where the asset is maturing, you can see that these moves are becoming more and more shallow, and I do think particularly where the previous high is, which is the 19,800, it is actually the previous all-time high. So where's this actually measuring here? Yeah, so it's actually I've actually stopped it at 58%. Is the measure from the cross to the downside, actually to where the previous all-time high is 58%. So you could see us coming down and testing close to the previous high. But looking at previous cycles, you don't get very close to a previous all-time high. So I'm thinking along the lines of somewhere between 22 and 24,000 as being the actual low. It's just a case of trying to work out when that's going to happen. Are we going to get a continued accelerated move down now, or are we going to get the bounce and then come down later? You can see from the previous videos I've put out that the RSI is so low, both on the weekly and on the daily. It would suggest a bounce first before we get the rolling over, and that would make sense to me, as I've said in the videos previously. We get a bounce from here up into the summer, up to sort of the bull market support band, so somewhere between 40 and 42, and then we get the rolling over towards the end, maybe September of this year. September, October, November, I think, is when we'll actually see the low 20s in this part, judging by where we are in the cycle, that's where I think we'll end up, somewhere towards the back end of this year. 20s, 22 to 24 being, the new lows. And then obviously after that, that would then be the sort of 16-month lead up to the actual halving, which at the moment is due to be in May 2024. I have done quite a lengthy video on the mid to long term, which I will put a link to on this video at the end, on the end card. So if you do want to see that, guys, I will put it at the end of this video for you. So I just want to play with numbers a little bit here, really. There's a couple of things which I've seen over the last few days. I do follow, a small collection of other YouTubers. Over the years, when I've tried to sort of master my own craft, I do find that sometimes if I look at too many other influencers, that it does, sort of change the way I see things, and actually I have a better success rate if I just concentrate on my own analysis. But having said that, this is something which I thought was particularly interesting, and this is just on a log scale, basically the daily. And if you look actually at this support line here, and then we add the same support line here, there are some interesting similarities in that you get the tests of support on the way up, and you get these small moves where you break down through support and then try and bounce, and even have another test above that resistance line. So once the price comes down, bounces along support, breaks down, you do have like a small chance of trying to sort of break bullish back above that support. But then once you break down through, you actually do. You'll notice here that at this point you've come back up and you've retested the support, if you like, as resistance. But you'll also notice that the blue line on there is the 200 simple moving average. It's very interesting to see that once you've broken down here and then you come back up, is that you retest the resistance, but also you're testing the 200 moving average. Very similar to what's happening here. You get the same bounce along support here. Okay, you even get this part here where you've broken down through support, the same as you have here. Okay, you break down through support, you get a small bounce, then you get an accelerated move to the downside, very similar to this area here. Okay, and then you get the some sideways movement, and then you get another attack up at the resistance there. And interestingly, you've got the 200 moving average there, and also the 200 moving average there, and you see you get the rejection, and then you get the accelerated move to the downside. So I thought that was quite interesting to see that. So let me just move that slightly. That needs to be a little bit different to that. Okay, I thought that was very interesting to see that. It's we talk about fractals. I'm a big fan of fractals. Another thing, just to lead on from this, is if we go to the weekly. So that's the 200 day. So sorry, go back to this chart. So this is the 200 simple moving average, as you can see there in blue. Okay, I'm going to go to the weekly, and I'm going to add the 100-day moving average. So we've got the 200 and the 100-day moving average. This is a log scale still, guys, but you'll notice if you go back through history, again, another interesting point is that so the green line is the 100-day moving average, and you'll notice in history, once the 100-day has been lost, so here, and here, even in the COVID situation in March, you'll notice that once the 100 days been lost, we do come down, and the blue line is the 200 simple moving average, and you'll notice that we do tend to come down once the 100 moving average has been lost. We do tend to come down to the 200 moving average and test that as support on each time the 100 moving average is lost. So we have lost the 100 moving average at the top here now, but we haven't quite yet tested the 200 moving average. So the 200 moving average is in blue there. So again, it's 21,958. And that's where I think that the 22 to 24,000 low is gonna come in for Bitcoin. It's just a case of whether, are we going to be, continuing down, over the next sort of coming weeks, or are we going to get a bounce first into the bull market support band and then get the lows sort of a little bit later in the year? So something like this, where you see you've come down, you've got to bounce and come back down. I think we are due a bounce looking at the RSI. So we could get the bounce first, maybe come back up, maybe even test the lower part of the 100 moving average, which is at 36,650 at the moment. Perhaps we get a bounce up, come back up as a retest of the 100 moving average, and then come down later in the year to that sort of 22 to 24 mark. That's what I think is going to happen, guys. So just looking at Bitcoin dominance, then, this is something which we probably don't really want to look at all. We probably want to close our eyes, because this is looking like it's going to absolutely trash the altcoins. It's continuing to go higher. We didn't get a rejection from here. As I said, it did look like it was trying to erode its way through the resistance, and sure enough, it has. It's come up. You're going to get like perhaps a retest of this breakout, but it does look like we're going to get the move up to the top of this wedge, which is going to take us back up to into this green zone. It's somewhat like around the 50% mark over time. But as I said, this is an indication of altcoins not doing particularly well against Bitcoin pairings. But that's not to say that the altcoins, some altcoins will do particularly well against the USDT, pairing. So maybe it's possibly a time to perhaps change your trading strategy. If you're trading to make Bitcoin whilst we're getting these downward moves, then great. But perhaps now's the time to think about perhaps looking at the altcoins which are strong against their US dollar pairings, and trading the the alts against the US dollar pairings as the dominance goes higher. Because I think that as dominance goes higher, we will see Bitcoin price come higher as well. There is a chance that this climbs higher, and as it does, we do get this accelerated move from Bitcoin. This accelerated move to Bitcoin down to the 100 moving average, whilst this continues up to the 50% mark. So there's a number of factors, unfortunately, guys, and I wish I could be a little bit more sort of definite. It does sort of frustrate me sometimes when I watch YouTube, and you've got people that are saying it could go up $500 or $1,000, but then again we could get $1,000 move. Well, of course it's going to move $1,000 or $2,000 in either direction in any 24-hour period. So when they say that, it does frustrate me a little bit, because people that are watching these videos are looking to get some kind of edge or some kind of sort of directional bias from the person that's presenting it, in my opinion. So when you've got somebody that that's saying, we could get a move down to $500 or $1,000, or we could get a move up $1,000, $5,000. Well, of course, within the next 24 hours, they are very likely to have been right in both directions, and still have and still make them look incredibly fantastic. When in actual fact, Bitcoin sways $1,000 up or down in the space of a couple of hours. So anyway, guys, I'm not going to be putting anybody down. There are lots of very good people out there. There is a collection of people that I watch, and if any of you are interested in finding out who it is that I'm particularly watching and who I find as being the best people to follow on YouTube for being consistently accurate and correct, please put your comments down below if you'd like me to tell you those, and perhaps I'll share my collection of the sort of top the fame, the Hall of Fame, if you like, of the top people that I like to watch on YouTube. So thanks ever so much for watching today, guys. Trade carefully whilst we're in these low regions. There is still this chance that if this support does give out completely, is that we do come down and find these lows and the 100-day moving average at 22,000. And when we're at 20, we're around 30,000 now. That is, still a considerable sort of 25% move from where we are now. So it's considerable, and that will, 25% move in Bitcoin to the downside will be, a catastrophic move to the downside in altcoins if it happens. So, please be careful, guys. Take care, trade carefully, and I'll speak to you again tomorrow. All the best now. Always remember, guys, take profits and buy something real. Take care.